Greetings, my excellent friends.
Do you know when the Mongols ruled China?
Wow. Perhaps we could ask them.
What? How?
Whoa! Oh, I hate that part. If you guys are really us, what number are we thinking of? 69, dudes!
Welcome to MotoGP. This is episode number 69. We are coming at you after the Valencia round, and Nicky motherfucking Hayden just won the world title.
What?
Woo!
America!
There we go. The boys are on the phone. Kevin is here.
I'm here. What's up?
Everett's here too.
Fucking home.
We're missing Dennis, of course, and Papa D. We don't know if he's going to come back anytime soon, but he'll listen to us and give us some pointers. But first things first, of course, this episode is brought to you by Riders Law. Riders Law, they are California motorcycle accident injury lawyers. So if you guys ever get into any trouble on the street, you need some legal help, you want someone in your corner to back you up when going against the insurance, against other lawyers, please give Riders Law a call. Please give Cy and lawyer Rob a call, and they will help you out. Riders Law, of course, they're taking care of everyone in the industry. They're hooking up at track days. They're a presenting sponsor for Moto America. So if you're in Northern California and you want to check out some good racing and you want to check out Riders Law, go to the Sonoma Moto America round and head to their booth. They'll have a bunch of free swag to give away too, and it'll probably be a party over there. But we have such amazing shit to talk about because even with a 12-point deficit going into the final round of the season, Nicky Hayden pulled that shit off.
The greatest fucking season ever, dog. Seriously. The greatest season. No one could have guessed this after Estoril, after all of that stuff went down with Nicky and Danny. I'm at a loss for words. The first time ever.
wait, but you got to hold this whole episode together. Like, yeah. Come on, you got to say something.
Right, yeah. I don't know how I'm going to hold it together. Well, I'm going to be like Nicky on that bike. I'm fucking waving my American flag, tears in my eyes. You know, fucking fuck Italy and fuck Danny Pedrosa. Fuck him and his teammate crashing ass right in the ass because it's fucking America. It's the stars and bars for life, son.
America.
Yeah, so Nicky Hayden, he was obviously the underdog going into this final round and kind of for the entire season, but somehow I can't even remember how many people won a race this year. It was like, I think it was 7 different winners now.
There will never be a season where more people win a race than this year. This year, 2006, there'll never be a season where more people win a race than this one. It'll be the greatest season there ever was.
It'll definitely be the greatest season there ever was. I mean, Nicky only got 2 wins, and he still managed to put this whole thing together. And one win was pretty damn close to not a win, if we remember Acid.
Right. One win was a crash, a 1 inch away from a crash or a problem as we saw with Colin, the other, real American hero. It could have been 1 win and nothing. But hey, it could have been even closer. I mean, Valentino doesn't get taken out by Elias in the opening round. Elias doesn't win last race. It's a whole different ballgame, but that's the thing. Nicky was there, and you make your own luck sometimes. And as we saw with this race, Valentino bogs a start, and we'll talk about what happened with him, but Nicky seizes the moment and seizes the day.
Yeah.
And he's the fucking champ.
Go ahead, Ev.
I was just going to say, and obviously, consistency is paramount in a championship like this. That's such a long season, so it really demonstrated Nicky's ability to be there each and every weekend that there was a race. So it's awesome.
I mean, but how do you feel about the consistency, though, right? Because in the first half of the season, he had a good string of podiums and was I think coming out of the summer break after the Laguna round, he was 51 points ahead, and then somehow he lets Rossi come back. Like that consistency kind of disappeared.
But that goes back into the same problem. The problem with it is, and the reason why this is so miraculous is because Honda never expected Nicky to be where he is. Danny was their fucking golden boy. He is their golden boy. Yeah. They're changing the whole rules of the fucking series to build around Danny and his fucking childlike body, right? Nicky was never supposed to be there. That bike has never suited him well this year. You know, there's some rumors that there's test riders who wouldn't say the clutch was as bad as it was during testing, and some rumors that Nicky's been riding a prototype so that Danny has a well-sorted bike next year. Fucking Danny, the guy who crashes into his own fucking teammate. Loser. Like he'll ever live that down. Loser. But
well,
go ahead.
Real quick, one of the other things is, and Rob, you know this, is through championships, right? You get to a point where you start to get fearful of crashing out or diminishing your lead, and so you play it safe. And we've seen this before, where people in that situation slowly erode their lead, and then it becomes contentious, especially that early in the season. So the fact that happened, really not surprised, and the fact that he was still consistent, that's pretty good.
It's like in football, right? It's like playing the prevent defense.
Correct.
Never works out,
Never
right? You play
out.
the prevent defense, and all it does is prevent you from winning. It's the same thing. And I mean American football, not fucking soccer, because an American is the MotoGP champion right now, the reigning champ. So when I say football, I mean the pigskin, dog.
Yeah, I kind of do agree with you there, Ev, too. Like, after the Brno round where Nicky got 9th and Rossi was on the box, like, you kind of got to wonder if that's when he took that hit, that mental hit, and started playing it even safer, because he saw a huge drop in his 51-point total just from that one single round.
Exactly.
Right? But, I mean, it was looking good up until Portugal, right? He still had, 8 points? Or was it? No, it was 12 points before Danny took him out. Mm-hmm. And but that's how championships go, right? They can swing in any direction almost at any time, because you gotta freaking finish the races.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, hey, to finish first, you must first finish, and it's a cliche, but it's true. And to an extent, like, look, we all love Nicky. He's the champ. You can't deny he's the best in the world. But I wouldn't say he's clearly the most naturally gifted. He's the hardest worker, and he takes advantage of situations. Is he more naturally gifted than Valentino? We all saw and we all read in Cycle World, magazine, that Earl told Valentino that Nicky's the champ, but you're still the man. We all know, and that's debatable. After we saw Valentino kind of choke, and you wonder, suddenly when he's under pressure, he can't pull it off. He can only really win when he's got a 9-win season.
Yeah.
It's easy to win when you got the best bike on the grid in 11 races. But the question is really was that deficit being cut in half because Nicky was playing it safe, or were those rumors that you read, like in the back of road racing world, that Nicky is riding the Brno bike and sort of testing next season's rule change bike the whole time? And they never thought he could win. No one but American fans, no one but saw him, wringing RC51's neck around Daytona, thought that Nicky could win.
Well, it plays into the Pedrosa conspiracies of he's the number one rider. They're trying to fuck over Hayden, get Pedrosa back on track, and get him winning the championship. Never really, I think, had a shot, but they, you could argue they were prepping even for next year. That's how crazy they are about supporting Pedrosa. The other piece, real quick, one more thing is the inverse, right? Winning a lot of races. The other thing is Hayden only DNF'd one race the whole season, and
it wasn't his fault.
And Valentino retired 3 times through the season. So that's a major, major handicap that he placed against himself because of that.
Right, and Valentino, excuse me, he, there's some talk, his Michelin chunked, or the M1 wasn't as good this year, and Burgess is talking about how their focus is really on making this bike better for everyone, and maybe they were being too big for their britches. They're trying to talk about how, like, a Tech 3 Dunlop shod bike with James Ellison is going to be competitive. Like, you fucking give me a break, right? And maybe they were too big, and Nicky just knew that I got to keep working, I got to work my ass off, and Pedrosa coming up at least lights a fire. I mean, his teammate was Alex Barros last year, right? I mean, That's fucking cool and all, but Alex Barros is fucking Alex Barros. I mean,
He's
we'll probably
done.
see him in the... Right, he'll be like in World Superbike at some point, riding like a green Honda or something. Who knows what's going to happen.
Well, and Ellison's your token Brit, so, got to have some representation from all the countries.
Right. But, Nicky, like you said, his only DNF was being taken out by another rider. Valentino, hey, if you know the bike's hard on front tires or the thing overheats, that's your own fault. You get taken out by Elias in the first round of the season, well, qualify better, bro, because shit goes down in the back of the fucking pack. You know what I mean? It is fucking rough back there.
Yep.
Well, I do want to talk about one thing about the actual race before we dive into Rossi too much here, right? I want to talk about how you guys think Nicky would have done if Rossi was actually still in the race, right? Rossi choked and he bogged the start, and that arguably contributed to everything that happened afterwards.
Contributed to Nicky Hayden being the motherfucking world champion.
There you go. But, I mean, to be honest, I think that Nicky would have won the race if Rossi was still in it.
He looked to have potential. We'll never know, right? But he definitely looked like he was poised to have that speed.
Yeah, I mean, you saw him closing on Bayliss, and we'll get to fucking Troy Bayliss. You know what I mean? For reals. What
Troy
was going on there?
Motherfucking
Troy
Bayliss.
motherfucking Bayliss. But I think that, Nicky had pace, had the speed. He had that I'm going to win at all costs look on his face. There was no denying Nicky this one. This was simply... we're going to win. He's going to drop the nuclear bomb on Valentino's Hiroshima, and there's nothing Valentino was going to do about it. That's just really, what Nicky was... Because that's what we do in America. If we aren't sure about what's going to happen, we just fucking nuke you. But, what happened is clearly he sees that Valentino is getting the board, right? You saw it. Rossi P13, P3 okay, so Nicky backs off. He was clearly being given the signs, now you just gotta finish. Valentino was 20 seconds down on Elias at one point. He was not making up the time to get those, so Nicky just backed off. But you saw for a second when he wasn't sure what was happening that Nicky was not to be denied. He started behind Valentino and was ahead of him by the second turn.
And Pedrosa was guarding him, and then obviously the gap grew, and it became kind of a non-factor once he settled into third. But it definitely looked like he could have done it, in my opinion.
I do like the fact that Repsol Honda totally had something set up such that what did they do? They showed Nicky P0, and then right after Pedrosa saw that, he let Nicky through into the second turn. Yeah,
he
owed him one. I mean, let's be real.
Danny's gonna win plenty of titles in the future, right? I mean, this is the golden boy. He's won multiple 250cc's. The rules are made for him. Danny's gonna win 2, 3, 4 titles. That's not even up for debate. That's just gonna happen, and we all know it. Honda is not gonna flub the 800cc transition. They're basically the reason why it's happening. So Danny waves him through and says, "Hey, look, man, sorry, my bad. You get yours, and then me and you are back to being rivals in the future. But for now, I'm helping you out." It was good by Danny. He got a lot of goodwill, and I'm sure the American fans will forgive him promptly.
Yeah, rookie mistake.
I mean, I wonder though if Danny would have done that had the Estoril shit not happened, right? If the title was a little bit more in favor of Nicky, if Pedrosa was also closer, right? Because his DNF pushed him further back, and he didn't finish the championship all that close to Caparossi and Melandri because of that DNF. So
right.
So if they had been up there,
imagine the meeting between Pedrosa and the team before this race, saying, "Hey, if Nicky gets in front, you really fucked up last round. You gotta let him by. And don't take him out again, by the way." Must have been fucking awkward.
I mean, everyone dislikes team orders, and the reason that he didn't get team orders from Nicky is he was mathematically in it. I'm going to give Pedrosa a little slack. He's a world champion. He's won 125 and 250. He was mathematically in the championship in a crazy year. Again, there'll be no year crazier, and there'll be no year where more people win the championship. Hands down, I fucking bet the house on that. But Danny was in, right? He had a chance.
Yeah.
He fucked up. He made a mistake. He's still a rookie, but he recognizes the mistake and says, like, look, now it's my job to make sure that my sponsors, the guys that, movie star is basically thrown out of the series because Danny fucking, Repsol did a coup d'etat to get Danny on their bike. So, that's the thing. He's going to do that, and then next year it's on.
And it's on. All right, yeah. Should we move on to the other side then?
I just want to say, hold on. I want to talk about Nicky a little more, honestly, man, because, well, this guy is the fucking underdog. No one thought he would win this year. No, everyone thought he loses. Danny takes him out. Valentino just has to follow him. This guy's been at the odds. He came straight from fucking AMA. He never did any time in 125s. He never did any time in 250s. He's not the brought up through the ranks golden boy. And he's he's basically salaries somewhat paid by American Honda. They kind of put him on that bike, and they're not sure he teammates with Valentino, and then suddenly he's the number one rider when Valentino leaves. And Nicky's whole story is amazing. We're talking about a guy who at one point was winning out of the back of a fucking box truck with his dad. Sure, they were cheating and running a 750 motor in a 600cc race, but that's totally besides the point.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Him and Earl in the van cheating, of course. I mean, underdog, even the results show how much of an underdog he was, right? Loris and Marco both had more wins than him, and his rookie teammate got 2 wins, right? Nicky Hayden worked his ass off and strung together this almost perfect year, and then through the grace of the moto gods and through Valentino choking, pulled it out right at the very end.
Well,
hats off. Greatest moment of his life. The shit will go down in history, man.
Yeah, congratulations, Hayden. That was dope.
I don't think we're going to get over this one for quite a long time. But let's move on to the other side. So we've already talked a little bit about how Valentino Rossi choked. I mean, to me, it stands out that Yamaha was not the best bike on the grid this year, that they were struggling with the front end, and that he had tire problems previously. He had some bad luck as well, but it's just to see it end this way, right? To come back from the largest deficit in history to not win it. What do you guys think of that performance?
It seems so predestined, right? Like Valentino's life has always been scripted. And Everett has said this in all our previous episodes, our Estoril episode, and our South Africa Kailami episode 2004, all those episodes that are totally available on iTunes, and you can definitely listen to it. But it seems scripted. It seemed like Nicky Hayden gets taken out. He comes back from the biggest deficit. This is just the next stage in Valentino's magical storied career where everything works out perfect and he's the happy-go-lucky, Peter Pan kid. Except it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, the golden boy is faultless. Or, not faultless. I mean, he fucking threw it away. It was his to win. It was pretty evident he was struggling, too, and that's why he was pushing harder than he should have been. And it bit him. It's a little bit of redemption maybe for me since, I'm always hating on Rossi, but, Nicky won.
Yeah, I mean,
so
you've
I'm
been
happy.
saying this shit literally since 2000, when we were doing our radio show on local access, and Everett is saying, the old, why does Valentino get brought into 500cc under a special team with Mick Duhan's former crew chief, and gets the zero pressure? Hayden gets brought directly to Repsol. Danny gets brought directly to Repsol, but Valentino gets the, zero pressure, full factory team off to the side with his own personal sponsor. So you see that, and you wonder, suddenly everything doesn't go perfect for Valentino. He knows the bike has cooling problems. It's been prone to overheat and lose some power, and you have to, ride it even harder, which is a problem with the tires, and Michelin's been chunking. Why did he bogs to start, shit happens, and then why is he pushing so hard so early on, especially, the 4th lap, a first gear turn? And you wonder, is this the chink in the armor? He scores the lowest points he's scored. And you wonder, is it done? Suddenly he doesn't have he's not bringing a gun to a knife fight for everyone else, and he doesn't win.
Yeah, it was very anti-Valentino to see him make this sort of mistake, because he usually puts in the very calculated wins, or there's any calculated performance, really. And even Nick Harris knew that the Yamaha M1 works better on a lower fuel load. Right? Like for the announcers to know that, that Valentino knows this.
For Nick Harris to know anything means every other human on the planet knows this.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right.
But so this is a chink in the armor. I really question whether or not he's going to do better next year, whether he can recover from this lowest point total, whether Yamaha will get their shit together and they'll build a bike that can work in the new rule set. Right? I don't know. I mean, maybe this is finally the slight downfall of Rossi.
It's a really good question because he's been so dominant, and then he transitions, and then this pivot to the new displacement size, it really is going to shake things up, and it, it could be really interesting, and he may not get the favorable side of that ruling or change.
And the regulation changes, they generally favor the teams with the most money, right? So it'll favor HRC. It won't favor Yamaha that much because they're smaller.
It certainly won't favor Ducati. I mean, Ducati and Suzuki, they'll be lucky to get maybe 1 or 2 podiums next year.
Ducati never puts the money into the season. They don't do the development through the rest of the year. If you had to stack rank these, Rob, Kev, I would go Honda, Yamaha, maybe Suzuki, maybe Cowie. I don't know. It's kind of a crapshoot between the two of those, and then maybe a Ducati after that. What do you guys think?
I wouldn't put Ducati that low, but yeah, you're right. I mean, there are a lot of Japanese manufacturers that have comparable money to Ducati, and they could make a really solid bike and have some really good performances and come out ahead, because those lower spec teams are going to be fighting for scraps, and that's going to include Ducati.
Right. Yeah, and you see what has happened with Valentino is that he's had the perfect time, the perfect situation every single time he's won the title. Suddenly he has less than a perfect situation and he chokes. Now we see next year Honda has gotten this rule change, and Honda has the reigning champ Nicky Hayden, who has got to have the serious amount of confidence knowing that he can beat Valentino and that he can come back from anything. Valentino's got to know that when everything's on the line, he fucks up. I mean, I hate to say it, but you got to wonder if this is the beginning of the end for championships and for reigns of Valentino. I mean, I don't know if he can come back from something like this. You choke, you come back, you get the best, tires, you get arguably one of the better bikes, and when push comes to shove, you bail. Nicky comes out on top. You already see that Danny Pedrosa wins 2 races in his rookie season. That's, he's doing incredibly well his rookie season, and he's got to be the favorite for the title the next year and possibly years after that. It really comes down to, I think that, this is the beginning of the end for Valentino, and he's certainly not going to win any more championships.
Yeah, if this is his downslope, then we've got Nicky and Danny for the title challenge next year. Like, for sure. The HRC is going to put in all the money. Yamaha may or may not get it right.
I think Marco Melandri is certainly someone who's going to challenge for the title. Yeah. I think that he's definitely the guy that you think is coming up. He won a bunch of races in 2005. He won some races in 2006. Yep. He's got the Fortuna looking Grassini team. That team obviously runs basically factory spec equipment. And, Melandri, 250cc champion, gets on a good bike and suddenly is someone who I think is clearly going to fight for a title and will be in GP for at least the next 10 years.
I do wonder, though, if the satellite Honda teams are going to get as good as equipment as they've had for the past couple of years. Right? Like the V5 Honda, the RCV, has been amazing for so long that even the satellite teams are getting amazing equipment and they can win races. Like that... I would hope that Honda keeps that going because I love seeing this many people win races. Yeah. But I wonder if Honda's going to do that,
They might. I think some of the riders down that Kev mentioned just need to get really a solid ride and or get promoted, and that's really what it's going to depend. I think the thing you guys, I'll go back to it. Rossi's the golden boy. He's going to go use the politics and leverage. He's got several championships under his belt. He's going to figure out a way to get some kind of favoritism or something, and probably try and figure it out. It's not like he hasn't, figured out, he switched from the
Come on,
Honda
you
to the
act
Yamaha.
you act like this guy is powerful enough that he could just change what tires his team uses, or he can just change the displacement of bikes, or get new sponsors based on what he wants. He's not like bigger than the sport. You know what I mean?
You know, the thing that I love, though, is where was Carmelo Espeleta when the race was over?
Oh, boy.
He wasn't congratulating Nicky. He wasn't in Park Ferme. He was in Rossi's garage to give him a hug.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Like, Rossi, he's totally the golden boy, and he may... I mean, if he hadn't have lost this year, right, after this crazy season, he may have become bigger than the sport. Now we don't even know. He might still be bigger than the sport, right, because he does have so many consecutive titles. But
that's fucking terrible. Golden boy. Damn.
Motherfucking Mick Doohan was breathing a sigh of relief, knowing that his 5 championship titles is safe, and that he does, he can keep talking shit about Valentino like he's doing for the past 2 or 3 years, saying that 125 and 250 Grand Prix don't actually count on win totals.
Had it easy as shit. He's got nothing else to talk about either. So
he got nothing.
That's a whole different.
Well, hey, let's move. We already kind of talked about Ducati, but let's move over to the surprising race over there. So. It was freaking amazing to see
motherfucking Bayliss, dog.
Represent.
There it is.
Represent.
Yeah. So, wild carding in here, like he rode for Ducati in 2004, and they freaking dropped him. And now for him to pull this out after a solid World Superbike title,
you know the
crazy.
dig. You know the dig. It's he can only ride a Superbike, so they basically, put him back there.
I think it's more than that. I think that it's maybe the talent level of Superbike is at equal or maybe even higher to GP. I mean, are we seeing the ascension of Superbike in the next 7 to 9 years? They're going to be bigger, more competitive with more talent than GP. I mean, Bayliss shows up in a wild card, wins GP, and just says hey, I'm fucking mic drop in front of all of y'all. You know what I mean? He literally is bringing sexy back. He's bringing Superbike back.
Yeah.
So do you think he's just going to own in World Superbike then because he has this GP level talent?
No, he does.
You said the exact opposite.
No, he does own in World Superbike. He dominated World Superbike for years, and then he got his shot. He underwhelmed, and then he went back to World Superbike, kicked ass, and they gave him the wild card because their season ends early. And guess what? He's like, fuck these guys. I'm going to show them what's up. I'm on a good bike. I can fucking do it. The Ducati's got its moments, so he fucking did it.
Right, I think this really shows that, in 2004, Ducati didn't win any races. They switched to Bridgestones. They admitted they didn't think they could beat Valentino on equal tires, which fucking Nicky Hayden and America proved was bullshit. Just like Italy to fucking give up. You know what I mean? The same fucking people that joined Hitler. You know what I'm saying? Nicky...
Oh, you went there.
I said it. I went there. I Godwined it. But Nicky, proved you could. But, basically, the crew said that they thought they couldn't beat Valentino on equal tires, even though they got a win in 2003, so they switched to Bridgestones to build back up. Bayliss didn't get along with them as well as Rossi, didn't do so well in 2004, and they dropped him. But he comes back to show that Ducati was a good bike. The tires are good. I think that they made a massive mistake, not moving him back up to GP after doing so well in Superbike. I mean, they moved Hogston up to GP. Joust moved up to GP. I mean, you wonder whether Superbike is actually the springboard to GP or whether if, Bayliss is proving that maybe it's slightly better. But in either way, they signed Casey Stoner, the guy who's never won anything, instead of Bayliss, who's a race winner and a Superbike champion. I don't know. I mean, is that even really the right choice there? What's happening there?
He must be really cheap or something, right? They want some somewhat up and coming talent because he had some flashes in the pan, but he didn't even finish this race, right? How many retirements?
He hasn't finished the last 3 races. Finished this race. He hasn't finished the last 3.
But he looks so
just
fast.
because he got a second, in China, or maybe it was Istanbul. Definitely tracks that are going to be on the calendar for the next, 15 years, no doubt. So, but Yeah, I mean, he got a flash in the pan victory, or second place. He got a pole position pretty early on, but he's on the Honda. You already said that's one of the best bikes on the grid, better than the Yamaha, really. The guy kind of underperformed comparatively to Danny Pedrosa, and you have to wonder if that is a bit of buyer's remorse when they see Stoner crashing out for the third time in a row while Bayliss goes on to win. I mean, they already know that Ducati's not going to do that well comparatively to Honda because the investment just isn't there. Now they have kind of like a second-rate rider as their main guy. I just don't see it happening next year.
I mean, I wonder if, because Marco Melandri and even Tony Elias had their contracts up, right? I wonder if Ducati even pushed to poach them from their Honda team, and they just said no because they knew the Ducati wasn't as good as the Honda. Like, they just... The signing of Stoner just doesn't make that much sense to me unless they tried for other riders and failed.
I mean, maybe they want an Australian and they didn't want to take Bayliss, or they wanted to keep him in Superbike, so they just wanted to have the passport for the ride. I don't know. I'm stretching. I'm reaching. I'm sorry, but that's all I got.
It just seems like Melandri and Ducati is such a perfect fit. Like, there wouldn't be any strife. There wouldn't be like any psychological problems in how they interact. It's such a perfect situation. Melandri's a winner. Melandri's he's proven he can beat Valentino. He's proven he's competitive on a good bike. It seems like Melandri to Ducati would have been a much better choice, a much more stable, well-oiled machine working.
And he speaks fucking Italian to an Italian manufacturer. Like, how much better can you talk and communicate for fucking setup? Like,
yeah, I mean, it just like. Stoner, you wonder, like, he's always played second fiddle to Pedrosa. He's always played second fiddle. He's never really been the guy. He's looked good on occasion, and it's been just good enough to think, maybe he has something there. But is he factory rider material? I'm not so sure. Is he actually the kind of guy who can win a race, let alone a title? I mean, I just don't think so.
Here's the thing. He must be connected because he's been... You've all heard the Casey Stoner story, right? Like, sold everything, moved, caravan, the whole nine, followed the circus, worked his way up.
Yeah.
I mean, he competed well in 250s. I think he's well known in the paddock, well liked in the paddock. Maybe they said, you know what, let's give him a shot and... Fuck it. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe they didn't pay him anything. Who knows? But it really is very confusing and head scratching. Like,
I think Ducati will have a pretty good year with Loris Capirossi next year because I mean he got 3 wins this season.
He's consistent, right? But he's old. But I mean, yeah. So maybe that's the gamble they take is the Stoner play, right? And
his experience is going to come good next year, and he'll be the one getting the results, and maybe Stoner will learn the bike, right? So Ducati takes a 2-year risk with Stoner. Maybe it works out the second season, and he does just as good as Loris or a little bit better. Maybe it doesn't work out, and then they find the next big talent, right? Stoner could be the holdover guy for them to develop the new motorcycle, for them to develop the 800cc bike. So
yeah, I think a lot of people are just banking on the obvious fact that. I mean, what do you want to be? Like, you're Marco Melandri or Tony Elias. You're race winners this year. And you want to go to Ducati for a rule change that requires massive reinvestment? Or you want to stick with Honda, the proven winner, the reigning champ, and the people who provide the best bikes? I mean, it's no secret that Honda drove the 800cc rule change, and it's no secret that they provide the strongest satellite support. And just it seems to me that the Grassini team with the Fortuna sponsorship is the better ride than Ducati, hands down. I mean, Melandri and Elias, I both think are shoo-ins for a win next year, and at least.
But
go ahead.
But let's be honest with one another. Would you, if you were Casey Stoner and you had the opportunity to be on a factory bike and ride red for Ducati? I mean, it's a fucking iconic brand, and you'd take the chance. And hey, maybe it's the inverse. Maybe they're paying him, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go try this thing out and let's see what I can do." And
it's definitely a good. It's definitely a good play for Stoner.
Right.
It's the right move for him. If you're presented with that factory contract, you take it because he's not getting anything else. And he's not going to get better tires at a satellite Honda ride. Like it's not even the second best Honda ride, right? Because Marco has that one. It's the next one down, right?
Yeah.
He's just the talent that he does have is keeping him ahead of Tamada on the other Honda, right? So that was the right play for Stoner. It's just we just gotta wonder what Ducati was actually thinking by signing him. So, but I don't know. I mean, that's gonna get us into next year and a little bit after that. What else do we got going for the? Should we talk more about this actual race?
Yeah, I definitely think the race itself, it was really momentous. It's the kind of race that's going to go down in history. I mean, like, if God forbid that this show that we're doing is still around, like in 2017, and we're still talking about it. I mean, this is one of those races, this is one of those seasons that's just going to go down in history that no one's ever going to forget. I mean, you know, Nicky with Earl on the back, never going to forget. Like, the tears in his eyes, all that stuff, it just never going to be forgotten. It's just one of those epic seasons where everything was storybook. I mean, it's like hometown boy makes good. And for me, in the end, the story is that Nicky Hayden went up against the greatest rider of a generation and came out on top.
And you watch
hard to beat that.
And you watch Estoril, and everyone just assumes it's fucking over. And then here you come into this weekend, everybody assumes that Rossi just needs to carry it home. And there's no way in the world that Hayden could ever pull it off. And then Rossi fucking dumps it. And so you're right. It's just one of those things that's just got such a storyline with it that builds up. And between Pedrosa taking out his teammate in the hunt and then Rossi pitching it away, you'll never forget those two races and the combination of events. I think to that question about the race itself, I personally think the race itself, at the point where Rossi crashes and the couple laps after, it starts to get extremely boring, other than the fact that there's like 20 more laps left, and you're just like...
It's like tension.
Can Hayden just bring it home and, you know, not fuck this up? Because he's still got to get some points and, you know, get in there. And then Rossi comes back out.
Like horrible ass Nick Harris, right? Like this commentator the dude's got to be gone like in 1 or 2 more years at most. Like they're letting him live out 1 or 2 golden years. The transition to 800 cc's be good, but he's like literally trying to make up like a fake conspiracy. Like, are they going to tell Bayliss that he has to back off so Caparossi can get third? Like, no one gives a fuck about third in the championship. Literally, no one gives a fuck about third. Stop talking about how they're going to give team orders. Like,
no, it was. Like, I like how they interviewed. Hervé Poncharal and asked him if he was going to give Carlos Checa orders to let Valentino through.
Right.
Even though, like at the time, I think Checa was in 14th or 13th or something. Right, still nowhere close to Valentino winning the title because he had to pass 5 or 6 more people. Right? Yeah, that was all those conspiracies were hilarious. But I mean, at the same time, this is the most exciting race where nothing actually happened, right, in the last half of the race. At least in Portugal, right, we had Tony Elias win by like 0.003 of a second or something, and you didn't know until they crossed the finish line.
Yeah.
Like, but this race, like Kevin said, this was so much tension. The stories were there.
That's what I'm saying. It was
Estoril was like Valentino said, Elias rode like a demon. You know what I mean? Like, and during that race, Valentino was all like happy about like, oh, he rode like a demon. It was crazy. Never knowing at those 5 points, like, we're gonna seal his fate for like that's the last title he's ever gonna win. You know, Elias is literally the guy who crashed into him in the opening round and then stole those 5 points at the end. It was a tension-filled race. It wasn't the action itself. It was, holy fuck, is Bayliss gonna actually pull this off? Holy shit, is Rossi actually gonna choke? Or holy crap, is Hayden actually gonna do the impossible? Is he gonna fucking live the American dream? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Hayden's whole family was there. What's crazy too is like Everett said, no one thought Hayden could win. No one. Right? A lot of American fans were holding on hope, but we all kind of secretly thought like, fucking Pedrosa.
And here's how you know. What I mean? I wonder what the betting odds were that Hayden would win the championship. You know how we don't know? Because no one ever fucking would even think to look. It was that impossible to happen.
Right, and yet Hayden's the kind of guy. His dad was there. Both his brothers were there. His sisters were there. Like, he brought the whole brood to the winner take all. I'm down, back against the wall. That's how they do it in Kentucky.
He had fucking Michael Jordan there, bro.
They all crossed their fingers, their toes, their legs, their elbows to make sure that he brought that bike home in the last couple of laps. Well, they kept showing, and that was another thing that Nick Harris kept talking about.
Yeah, but they kept showing Earl, right? Like Earl's sitting there, he's looking away, he's not looking, he's doing anything he can not to look at the screen. He's like 2 seconds away from just picking his nose and eating it versus looking at the screen, right? Like he'll do anything to what? Why are you laughing? But he'll do anything not to look at the screen when the camera's on him. He just don't jinx it. Nicky's throwing a no-hitter, and it's the 8th inning. No one mention it. No one fucking talk about it, and let him come home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is you watch Hayden get the start. He was on a fucking mission. He was going to do whatever it took, and then that's kind of the crazy part is, right, then when Rossi did, he backed off, and it was just like, all right, he went from balls to the wall, at any cost, I'm winning this race. The rest I can't control, and then to the complete 180, I just got to bring it home. So, pretty crazy.
Right. So
I love how if we're bringing up the start, right? He practically pushed Valentino out of the way.
Oh, dirt track, like, motherfucker! Let's do this. Banging bars.
Yep.
Yeah.
At least turn one goes left.
So obviously we kind of talked about the race. Nicky won, but we do have some questions from our listeners. You can scope our MySpace page, MySpace /BrotoGP, because, growing social media is where it's at. Get on the internet, ask us questions. So some people want predictions for 2007 because big rule change. We got this tire rule change, which Rob has told me from a technical standpoint, it's not going to make much of a difference. He thinks that the Michelins will still be dominant. Bridgestone, they're still too new. They don't have what it takes to go through it. So we got some MySpace questions. Listeners want to know from Rob if Marco Melandri and Makoto Tamada can repeat their performances with Bridgestone, or excuse me, Makoto Tamada can repeat his performances with Bridgestones from 2005 and get some wins next year now that he's on the Magic Michelin package.
Tires.
Because Rob loves tires. If there's anything Rob loves, and there's anything that in the future our listeners will want to hear, it's Rob talk about tires.
It's Rob talking about tires. I mean, like, I think Bridgestone will be up there just because they seem to have tires that generally just kind of work. But you can't bet against Michelin, even with them losing the overnight tire, right? They still have so many years of data, and these new bikes are going to go slower, right? It's not going to be more stressful on the tires. They're not going to have to brake as much. They're not going to have as much horsepower, right? There's no way that Michelin doesn't do amazing here. So, what was the
a guy want to know if you thought Tamada, who had obviously done really well on the Bridgestones in 2005, won a couple races, now that he's on the Magic Honda Michelin package, obviously the package we all know that's best is going to be a title threat for next year.
Absolutely.
He's on a Honda. He's on Michelin's. The rules are changing to favor both Honda and Michelin's if Tamada can put together a title challenge. Makoto Tamada.
I'm going with no on the title challenge. There's too many other people that he's got to beat.
I mean, it's a good combo. It's a good combo, but he's still Tamada. Yeah.
Yeah, no, see, I think opposite. I think Makoto Tamada, 100%. Makoto Tamada is going to be a title challenger. Here's the thing. This guy won on like a 4th tier Honda on fucking Bridgestones last year, right? He won multiple flyaway races. Next year, clearly that title shit is going to, the title is going to favor the Hondas and the Switch. I think Michelin's, we've seen hands down, are still the best tires, and the Bridgestones only really win as outliers. So, I definitely think Makoto Tamada, you'll see, is going to be fighting for wins, fighting for the title, and be in the series for a long time to come.
I don't know, man.
All right.
I think you're
Next question.
I think you're baiting me.
Right.
Troll.
Exactly. So we obviously, there's a lot of other questions we have on our MySpace page, and I'm just reading these, sort of on the fly. Definitely not making them up as I go along, but actually reading real stuff.
Real news,
you know what I mean? So
come on, give me the next one.
So, hold on, user. We got a user, and he wants to know that is Elias's win a flash in the pan, or is he the real deal? He won a race. He won it spectacularly. Is this kind of the guy that's the real deal, or is that one win a flash in the pan? Could we see him slowly fall from grace and end up riding, who knows, national series of Superbike or something?
I would say that he will do better next year because there was a rumor going around at Portugal that he got a factory Michelin tire instead of his like second tier satellite tires. So if now that next year that Michelin won't have the overnight tires, they probably won't be able to create like as large of a discrepancy between the factory and the satellite tires. So I think he'll do better next year. I don't know if he's going to get like 3 wins, but he might get another one.
So that's good. So we got one more question for Rob, because if there's anything our fans love, it's Rob tech questions. So on our Friendster page, we have out there a guy saying that the 800cc bikes are going to be smaller and more nimble, and that should allow for a wider variety of lines and racing options. So should we see more passing and a wider variety of winners next year with the bikes that can choose more lines and more ways to win? Again, our Friendster page questions.
That was a good one.
I'm gonna go with definitely not, because we don't see a shit ton of lines in 250s or 125. Right, so we slow the bikes down just a little bit, take away the horsepower, and they're not going to be sliding as much, and there's going to be fewer lines because they'll be ridden like those other bikes. So I mean, we might get more winners if like the 250 guys can come better compared to like the previously trained superbike guys, the ones that really favored sliding the bike. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, wait, Rob, help me understand. Are they going to go into the turns a little slower yet carry more speed in the turns, and like, because I'm not really sure
they'll
what's happening
they'll
here.
they'll probably be a tiny bit faster at the apex, but they'll be slower everywhere else.
Interesting.
Right?
I don't know,
because a smaller motor, right? You kind of got to push the corner. There'll be a tiny bit, because I mean, even the 125s are faster than the MotoGP bikes at the apex.
Got it.
Like, that's just how it works.
Dropping knowledge on me, man. Thank you.
Dropping knowledge. Yeah.
All right. Done with tech questions.
/thread on tech topics.
Damn it.
There we go.
Hold on, I got one more personal question. I got one more. Is that the Ilmore tested basically a public test the last 2 rounds? They got the jump on bikes running the 800cc's. They got Jerry McWilliams and Gary McCoy. It didn't go so well last round, but hey, these guys are one step ahead of some of the rest of the teams. They got that F1 money. They got the Suter frame, helping build their frame. These guys are the real deal and really investing a lot of money and time and effort. How do you think they're going to do next year, Rob? Personally, I think they're going to surprise some people. They'll definitely be in it for the whole season, and that bike is going to surprise some people and definitely score more than just score points, but actually score some podiums, in my opinion.
I don't think they're ahead, right? Like, one reason why Nicky kind of, like, there's talk about him being on a different bike and stuff for the end of the season is that his HRC's already been working on their 800cc bike. Like, there's no fucking way that Ilmore and Suter making that chassis are ahead of HRC and Yamaha, and they're probably not ahead of Ducati.
Dude,
no way
I don't know. I think just
So-
watching fucking McSlider ride that thing is cool. He's a little bit old school, probably a little bit at the end of his career.
If you ever see him on camera,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I
Sorry,
mean, the bike looks legit.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree they're gonna have a tough time, but you never know, man. We've seen crazier shit happen.
Right, we saw Valentino Rossi choke and Nicky Hayden win the championship.
Oh,
you never know what's going to happen next year. I mean, fuck, next year's so wild. Fucking Ducati might win the title. Who fucking knows, dog?
And look at the Kenny Roberts team. I mean,
the Kenny Roberts team. I would say the Kenny Roberts team has a better chance next year than the Ilmore team, for sure.
Yeah,
they have better talent. They've been in the class for longer, right? They're going to get another good motor. Right, they're gonna do amazing compared to the Ilmore. But all right, I feel like we should have ended on Nicky Hayden won the motherfucking title.
Well, and there's one other point I want to make real quick. The way that Valentino lost that championship was classy as fuck, because he went over and gave him a nice handshake at the end on the cool down.
There was a lot of love between the two. Yeah.
There was a lot of respect there. He came over and shook his hand. You were the better man today. See you next year type situation. I mean, Valentino, we've never really seen what kind of loser he is. We've never really seen if the guy can be kind of petty if things don't go his way. He could have easily started he could have easily pointed out that Danny was colluding with Nicky and that his title rivals were colluding. He could have kicked at him or something. I mean, we've never really known whether Valentino is kind of a petty guy in the end or not. I think definitely this shown he's super classy. He doesn't let things get under his skin, and he's just ready to sort of fight next year. And for me personally, it was definitely a good moment to see the first guy to really beat Valentino straight up, hands down, and Valentino to kind of own it and be classy about it.
Yeah, well, and they were both classy as fuck. We would not use any other words to describe Nicky Hayden either. So to see those two guys at the top of the title at the end of the season makes this year amazing once again.
And that's another real quick good point is ending at the last round of the season, the championship, always the ideal way to do it.
Right, in the last round of the season, and Nicky, again, you get classy as fuck. I mean, Nicky's the kind of guy who, when he wins the title, he goes and gets his fucking pops. You know what I mean? Like, goes and gets the dad, get on this thing, ride around with me. Like, that's just the kind of guy he is. He was an all-American, a personality. He's the kind of guy you want your kid to be like. He's the kind of guy you want your son to grow up to be, or the kind of guy you want your daughter to date. He's classy. He doesn't say he barely said shit when Danny took him out and all but stole his title challenge. And then the guy goes on, wins, and in the greatest moment of his fucking life, grabs his fucking dad, gives him a hug, and says right on the back, he's just riding around, tears in his eyes, reckless abandon, and he's not holding anything back. And I think you know what I mean, as classy and as nice of a dude as you could get, and you could do a lot worse than to be a little bit Nicky Hayden.
Yep, wears his heart on his sleeve, that's for sure.
No doubt.
All right, everyone, we're ending on that one. Thanks for listening to episode 69, and we probably got a recording coming up soon. Check out Writer's Law, of course, and thanks for listening.
Peace.
Later.